It is a really complex condition. There are multiple vocal and motor tics that somebody can have. My daughter, she's 13. She hits herself in the head and the chest quite a lot. She suffers tic attacks at times that look like seizures. She can hear you, but she can't communicate at all. She's had tics called drop tics, where she tries to stand up and the tic will literally throw her on the floor. So we have to have a wheelchair at hand for her. She has trouble with sleeping. You know, it really is really, really complex. And I wish people would understand that it isn't just swearing, and it really is not a funny condition to have.
How complicated was it for you as a family to get this formal diagnosis?
Well, it started for us in August last year. My daughter started, she had, the first tic she had was in her neck, so her head would snap back. I went on, as you do, Google and tried to find out some more information. And Google tells you to ignore. So I did ignore until it became painful, and she came to me and said, "Mum, you know, I'm in pain, what on earth's going on?" So I rang the GP. He said, "Can you bring her in to check over, you know, have a check of her?" He then made an urgent referral to paediatrics, and unfortunately the first referral was declined. This wasn't told to me until I went back to the GP again, because we still hadn't heard anything, and he sent another urgent referral. By this point, the tics had completely taken off. It was crazy. She was throwing things, hitting herself, swearing, which she wasn't before. And at the time she was having tic attacks. So I managed to get a video and sent that to the paediatrician. And it was at that point that the paediatrician said, "Right, okay, perhaps we better see you." So, you know, it wasn't clear cut at all. I'm lucky that the GP referred straight away to paediatrics, but I run a support group for Wales for people with tics and Tourette's, or for people who care for them. And a lot of them are telling me that the GP isn't referring to anybody. It's wait and see, will it go? Or they're referring to paediatricians and then getting referred to neurologists, and neurologists are declining. It's just, you know, it's an absolute mess. When things are already extremely stressful, trying to deal with this, it really doesn't help. And, you know, it makes you feel desperate and worried.
Helen, was this something that she had experienced before? Was she showing signs previously? Do you think the pandemic then exacerbated the situation, maybe made her more anxious?
No, I never noticed any tics really, you know, when she was younger. But through doing research on Tourette's syndrome and learning about all the behaviours and the different things that they can have, the different symptoms, it was like ticking a box for her. There's things like skin picking, pulling out hair, having trouble with sleep, having trouble regulating your emotions, sensory difficulties. She also has a guarded diagnosis of attention deficit disorder, and that can often be a comorbidity of Tourette's syndrome. So for us, I also have a daughter that's autistic. For us, our household is neurodiverse, and so I don't think the pandemic did exacerbate anything. There wasn't any illness beforehand. There was no TikTok. You know, she wasn't watching people with tics. It just really came out of the blue. But as I say, when I read about Tourette's and all of the information I've managed to find, it absolutely makes sense.
You've launched a petition, a hugely successful petition. You've been looking at the figures this morning, and in the thousands they're supporting you.
Yeah, we've got just over 7,000 signatures now. We need 10,000 to try and get a debate in the Senedd. So I'm really begging everybody, please, can you sign? Make sure you verify, because if you don't verify, then your signature won't count. And please share everywhere that you can. Just because it's a Welsh petition, you don't have to live in Wales to be able to sign. Anybody in the UK can sign.
And it's basically because you want a clinical pathway for those who are potential Tourette's diagnosis.
Exactly. We really need a clear medical pathway, you know, so right from the point of contact at the GP knows where to signpost you to. In Wales at the moment, we only have one specialist for Tourette's syndrome, and that specialist only sees adults, so there is nobody for children. So that is, you know, first of all, we need the pathway, but that is one of our main goals. We absolutely need these specialists. I'm really lucky we've got support from other families, other people with Tourette's, but it does not replace the medical care that we really need.